Here we go. What's up, everybody? I'm here with Mikhaila Peterson for the second time. It's been about 9 months since we've spoken last. Mikhaila, how's it going up there in Toronto?
It's kind of dreary and rainy, but
Shoot.
it's getting warmer, so it's kind of nice. Am I
Nice.
super delayed, or is it just
No,
my?
I think what's going on is because in Skype we have to run the video from NDI from OBS and it goes through Skype, so there's gonna be a slight delay on that, but there's no delay on the actual video. So I might be
Okay,
delayed on your video. It's confusing. I'm sorry. I gotta
it's okay.
I gotta get the
I'll
tech
handle.
skills on point, but I think it's gonna look great for the audience. You just might have
Okay,
to,
okay,
yeah, we'll have to
cool.
suffer through a slight delay for us.
That's
Um,
fine.
so yeah, it's been another 9 months on meat.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a while.
Is that like more than 2 years now of like a strictly meat diet?
No, I'm at a year, December, January, February, March, April. So I'm not at a year and a half yet. I'm just under a year and a half.
The first time we talked, we got into, we got pretty deep into your story, which was, I mean, it's kind of a shocking story. Like as a young woman, I mean, as a little girl, having such bad arthritis, ankle surgeries and stuff. And I saw that you're recovering again from another ankle surgery. What happened with that one?
Yeah. Okay, so as many people who follow my story know, I had an ankle replacement when I was 17, and it was actually they put a component on the bottom. They put a component on your foot, and then they can put a component here, and then the ankle moves like
Hmm.
this. This top component was installed at a wrong angle.
What?
Yeah, I had a
Did you
rough
get a
time.
refund or
So
what? I mean, it's like how much did that freaking operation
it's
cost? That's crazy.
free healthcare in
Oh
Canada.
yeah.
Unfortunately, it was installed crooked. So I don't know, you get what you pay for. Like,
Uh-huh.
um, so I went to Switzerland in January and found the surgeon who designed the joint because I went to a bunch of places in the States. Well, okay, I'll start at the
Mm.
beginning. I went to the surgeons in Canada and they said, we can't fix it. You're going to have to get your ankle fused. And I'm like 27. I said no to a fusion when I was 17. I don't want a fusion now. I would like to be able to move my ankle. And it's been pretty much fused for the last like 10 years because I haven't been able to move it. So I don't want that
Yeah.
anymore. So then I went to the States and those guys wanted to remove the ankle replacement and put in a new one. And it was like 6 months to a year of healing from how drastic the surgeries were. So then I went to a surgeon in Switzerland who designed the joint and he said, top component is crooked. The only one who knew his joint. So he went in and replaced the top component. So I had kind of like half an ankle replacement in January. Um, so I've been healing from that. And it's better. It is now better than it was before the surgery.
I'm like afraid to ask you what they do when they go in there and replace your ankle. Do they sever it from? I mean, I know with a hip replacement, they're like literally rip your leg out and then have to put it back. Do they have to do that with the ankle?
Well, kind of. They make a cut in the front, and then I don't know if they disconnect it, but they cut the bottom of your tibia,
Hmm.
and then what is the talus joint. They just remove the like half of that. So I'm missing like half of the talus joint and the bottom of the tibia.
Wow. Do you get like a video? Like when you get a crazy operation like this, do you get a video of the actual operation? I would want to
So
see exactly what happened during the whole procedure.
when I was 17, I brought a camera with me and I said, take a whole bunch of pictures because I want to see what's going on.
No.
And they didn't take that many pictures. But this time, um, they I opted out of the general anesthesia,
Hmm.
which you could do. I didn't even know, like, I've never had that option before. And the anesthesiologist came in and said, we do generally, but we can do other types of anesthesia if you want to. And I said, yeah, I don't want to do general anesthesia. So
Yeah.
I was awake during the surgery, which once it started, I was like, maybe some like anti-anxiety medication would be good right about now. And they're
Yeah.
like, I did it live-ish on Instagram because I had my phone with me and I had headphones on
Hmm.
and I was like trying to stay calm while they were pounding my leg.
Yeah, because that's what I've seen. I've seen some of these videos when they're doing knee surgeries and stuff, and they're just like ta ta ta
Yeah,
ta ta. It just sounds
yeah.
so painful.
It I couldn't feel anything. They gave me a spinal and a nerve block below my knee.
Yeah.
So the only thing that really hurt is they put a big, was it tourniquet around my leg?
Okay.
Um,
So to cut off circulation.
yeah, so after an hour and a half of having that on, that started to hurt. So then they gave me a bit of morphine for
Yeah.
that. But other than that, it was wild. Like, and then there was a screen beside me, so I could see them remove the component and then put the other component in.
Yeah.
And
And you had some of
and
this on Instagram. You're like,
I was like, oh my God, I was like, I can handle this, I can handle this. But it was, no one can really handle that particularly well.
dude, I
And
can't even handle listening to it. I'm getting traumatized just thinking of the hammer to the bone. Ka
it was
ka ka.
hammer. Yeah, there was a saw and a hammer. So there was whirring, and then the
Oh.
hammer, they were like hammering it hard enough that I was like bouncing.
Dude.
It was, it was wild. I'm not planning on doing it again, but it
Yeah,
was definitely scary.
I hope you don't have to do that again. Oh, so
Yeah.
afterwards, it's probably pretty swollen, right? A lot of blunt force trauma.
Yeah, I have a cut on the front and then I have a cut on the side because they also attached the fibula to the tibia, so my leg bones are fused now.
Yeah.
That was contributing to the instability of the joint apparently beforehand. So yeah, it was a lot of healing. It took My wound closed like completely a week and a half ago.
Hmm.
So, and I had it done January 14th
So the
or
wound
8th.
was kind of open for almost 3 months then.
Yeah, it was rough. It
Wow.
was hard because your ankle bends.
Yeah.
That part of the wound has trouble healing because it's moving all the time.
Oh, so you were in a cast for a while and then crutches, or how did that work?
I was in a walking cast, but it was pretty much weight bearing as tolerated. So
Okay.
after, say, 3 weeks, I could pretty much limp around. I hopped for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So you have one really
I was
strong leg
able,
now.
I have one, yeah, as if it needed to be already like stronger than it already is because it is already stronger because one is ankle replaced.
All right.
But yeah, it was a rough while. I was on morphine for I was on morphine for a month, almost a month.
How's weaning
Uh,
off of morphine? Is that a hard one?
Not for me. I already went through weaning off of OxyContin, and I was on a lot more OxyContin,
Yeah.
like a lot more for a lot longer. So this was just a month of morphine, and I felt pretty crappy for maybe 3 days. But I didn't have any psychological dependency at all. It was just physical, like uncomfortableness. So it
Yeah.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Oh, crazy story. So yeah, I mean, having several ankle surgeries before even 30 years old, you've had so many operations now. And if you guys go back and listen to some the first talk we did like 9 months ago, if you check out her YouTube channel, she gets really in depth about how she got onto a carnivore diet. But I'd like to kind of go maybe a little bit beyond that and talk about kind of the progression of how the diet's been going. So the surgery happened. And this would be like the first operation that you had done when you're on a carnivore diet, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the healing was affected?
It's really hard to say. I felt better. Like the first I was really really sick when I was 17 and had my ankle done, and I thought the healing would be easier on this diet honestly than it was. I had a but it's complicated because it's an ankle replacement, and I had to travel back from Switzerland, and I traveled back a week after the surgery, which was probably about a week too early to really be traveling.
Hmm.
That was hard. Um, so I would say emotionally and physically, I felt better than I did last time, but I don't know. It's hard to tell
Yeah,
if it
right.
actually
I mean,
sped up
it's
the
so much
healing.
has probably changed since then. Like, I mean, in the past, you mentioned you had major depression as a child and stuff, and it's
Yeah, yeah. So it's hard to like get rid of all the variables. I mean,
right. It's like even going to the
it,
grocery store is hard when you're depressed. So, having a
like yeah, it was easier this time. It was definitely easier this time, but the healing still took about as long as it did.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know. I was on way less painkillers than I was the first time, but they also installed it crooked the first time.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw today you put up on your Instagram story that you were walking around without a limp now.
Yeah, it's like if I work on, so a whole bunch of the muscles in my like lower leg are atrophied from 10 years of having it basically fused.
Yeah.
Um, so I've had to, now I'm doing weight bearing exercises, and if I work on it for a while, yeah, it hurts, but I can walk without a limp. And eventually it won't hurt, I'm assuming.
Right.
So it was, I was very excited this morning. Yeah.
That's really cool. So you got a physical therapist you're working on that with?
My physical therapist, who I really like, moved to BC.
Ah,
Um, so I'm supposed to go see another physio, which he recommended, which I probably will do, but I haven't yet. I should.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to, to actually figure out what you can do and what you're capable of without somebody from the outside, right? Because we're so subjective in our own bodies, and like with injuries, I feel like we get we'll neurologically block off certain movement patterns, and if we do that for
Yeah.
so long, it's like we just assume I'll
Yeah.
never do that again,
Okay. Okay.
right?
I'll go to the physio. I know, and it's true. And like my old physio, he taught me how, like, oh, you're not activating some of the muscles you should be
Yeah,
activating. It
yeah,
was like I was trying to pull my foot up using like the back of my leg
yeah.
instead of the front of my leg, just because there's been so much damage, it's hard to communicate.
Yeah, they'll be like stand up straight, and you feel like you're standing up straight, and then they show you no, 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 this is straight, and then you feel like you're like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely a weird thing, but that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it seems like you're
Yeah.
recovering quickly. So, how's
Yeah.
the diet changed over like the last 9 months? I know I'd like to get in later a little bit into the C. diff treatment and what you've been doing for that, and what you've learned. But over the last year, you must have learned a lot about yourself, your diet, what works and what doesn't. The last time we talked, I was asking you about if you tried any like organ meats or anything. You said, I hate liver. And then lately, I've kind of been seeing some pictures of liver. Seems like you
Yeah.
like it now.
I did hate liver. Like I hated liver with a fiery passion. Um, and then so when did we talk in May? We talked in May, I think, or something around
It said
that.
9 months in Skype when I talked to you today. So it said last chatted 9 months ago. So it must have been around
Okay.
May,
Yeah.
June.
Um, yeah. So in September, so that was I started the carnivore diet at like mid-December, and then in September, my something like changed palate wise. And liver started to taste sweet, and it always used to taste repulsive. I don't know
Yeah.
what it tasted like. I think bitter,
Yeah.
but it switched over to sweet, and fat started to taste more like water, whereas it used to taste greasy and horrible.
Yeah.
So that switched over in September for some reason, and then since then, yeah, I've been eating maybe 2 pounds of liver a
Oh
week.
wow. That's a lot of liver. You loving it.
I really like it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that switched. I'm eating, I mean, when I first started off, I was eating leaner cuts and more, but I
Mm.
was also breastfeeding. So I was probably eating like 3 pounds a day,
Mm-hmm.
which probably had to do with breastfeeding. And now a bunch has changed. I'm eating liver, although I took a break because I had a horrible flu, food poisoning. Something awful
Could
happened
you
after I
pinpoint the
ate a bunch of.
actual food or?
I don't think it was food. I think it was a flu.
Okay.
It seems to be going around Toronto. It's really horrible.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so I haven't had liver in a couple of weeks, but normally I'm eating about 2 pounds of liver a week, um, pretty fatty cuts, and I'm only eating like 1.5 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
So I changed that up, and I'm eating about 1.5 pounds a day. So I'm
Oh
eating a
wow.
lot
So
less.
more fat? You add more fat to it?
From when I first started, yes. From when I talked to you, probably not. I was eating quite a bit of fat
Yeah, I
then
think you told me
too.
you were like more of a ketogenic style diet, and you said it was probably 80%
Oh
fat
yeah.
or so calorically.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite a bit of fat, although now that I'm eating liver, maybe a little bit less. But yeah, most of what's changed recently is I stopped eating as much as I was.
Yeah.
And I think that's better.
Easier on the digestion? You think it feels a little bit easier on the body in general?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what it is. I enjoy the food more too. If I'm like I was thinking, okay, I need to eat at least twice a
Yeah.
day. And now I think what I do is I'll feed Scarlett breakfast, and she'll eat like 3/4 of a steak. It's insane.
It's crazy how much
Um,
kids eat, man. They love steak too.
they love steak. So she'll eat and we're using an air fryer, which makes it really
You're
soft.
like, oh, you got me sold on one of these things. I just the word frying, I always associate it with like overcooking because I really like rare, like super rare. But some of the pictures of the inside, it's looking juicy and rare in some of those.
Oh yeah, like I got my parents one, I got my brother one. I'm all for the air fryer. And it's so easy. And I live in a condo with the horrible like microwave fan on top, which doesn't do anything
Right?
for
And you
like
don't even use the microwave, probably, right?
no, I never used a microwave.
Yeah,
So yeah, I have the Philips air fryer and I absolutely love it.
I'm gonna look it up.
Uh, yeah, but I eat maybe like 4 bites in the morning, and then I don't really eat until 4, and then I'll have like a steak and a half. So like over a pound of meat,
Hmm.
maybe a pound and a quarter or something, and then I'm good until the next day.
What kind of steak? Do you do ribeye still?
I like ribeye, yeah.
Yeah. So you bone in or bone or no bone?
Bone in.
Bone in's the best. Does your daughter steal your bones?
No, not yet. She's too small.
Because my son's obsessed with it. I gotta hide. Like, sometimes I eat the bone first because I know Ryder's gonna come and tell me, "Can I have the bone? I got the bone now. I eat all." He's obsessed. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I was a fan of that when I was a kid too.
yeah. So, grass-fed versus grain-fed. Has anything changed, like in your opinion on that? I remember you said the grain-fed just tastes better and it's fattier, so you usually go for that. Or maybe it was affordability. I forget which one. Sean Baker says
Like
they taste better.
I think they taste better. I'm sure if you get used to grass fed, then maybe you start to prefer grass fed. I just never, like liver, I guess.
Hmm.
I just never got used to grass fed, and I find it has more of a strong flavor than grain fed. So I usually get grain fed grass finished, which is like what I get at Whole Foods
Oh,
if I
you,
go.
you mean grass-fed grain finished, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, because I think even with all people say grain fed. I shouldn't even say grain fed. Should say grain finished because it's 90% grass, and then at the end they fatten them up on grain.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
that. So that sometimes, although recently I've found out that Metro, which is just a grocery store in Toronto, it's not like fancy like Whole Foods or anything, their steaks are way fattier.
Mm,
Like I'd go to Whole Foods and sometimes they wouldn't really be that appetizing.
yeah.
It'd be pretty lean, but Metro, which is technically I guess lower quality, it's a lot fattier. So I've been getting steaks from them and it's like half as much.
Nice.
Um, so
Wow. Yeah.
so I haven't changed anything up like quality wise. I do try and get the grass fed liver, uh, just in case.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like I'd probably do the same. Everything's grass fed here, and they're not that fatty. So what I find we have to do, you mentioned you were making tallow before, right? Or were you buying it, or you?
I'm making it, yeah.
What I found, and I didn't realize this until like a year in, is that the suet just warmed up a little bit after I like if I fry a steak up on the frying pan on the skillet. I turn off the skillet and then I'll just take slabs of the suet and I'll throw it on there and it'll just soften up on each side. I like that so much better than the rendered fat. So I've been finding that that's actually really, really good. So just, I don't know if you tried it, but just like cutting up the suet, throwing it on the pan for a little bit, it's really good.
Yeah, okay, okay.
I think it
Uh,
digests easier too.
okay. I'll try that out. I just have to find a butcher that'll do it.
Yeah,
I think it's one. I have a number of them. Yeah.
nice, nice. You got a number of sources. It's like they're like drug dealers, right?
Kind of know where they all are in the city, and then all the steakhouses that like my family goes to recognize us when we come in. They're
Yeah,
like, oh, those guys who order, like we're very clear about what we
yeah. They're
want.
like, don't bring them a menu. We know.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Pretty funny.
Nice. So 2 pounds of liver, that's pretty cool. What about like bone marrow? Have you incorporated some of that yet? I love that stuff.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not a huge fan,
Okay.
but like to keep things interesting every once in a while, I'll have some. I do have, so yeah, kind of.
I wonder if you're getting like a poor quality marrow, right? Because I don't know. I've seen there's certain types of marrow. There's some that's like tallow, and it's kind of hard, and then there's some that's really soft, like the lower on the leg. This Stephenson put this in his book. The lower on the leg stuff is kind of sweet and buttery. That stuff is my
I think
favorite.
we've been getting that.
Yeah,
And I've cooked it just by sticking the bones in the oven until it's like soft
yeah.
and then taking them out. Um,
I wonder
yeah.
if you tried
I
them
don't,
rare if you'd like them more. Because I find that, you know what I do? I'll cook a steak and then I'll just pop the marrow out of the bone because they're like, we get them in 1 inch or 2 inch sections. I'll just pop it out and I'll have it on the side, just raw. And I find that that works. I mean, it's really
oh,
good
I've seen those pictures on your Instagram.
because I eat that like every day. There's no creativity to my meals at this point. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah, there's
streamlined.
none to mine too. Oh, you have a cookbook though,
We do, yeah. I
and
think I
I've
talk about
seen
it in
that.
there.
Yeah, that's very
Now,
creative.
you haven't gotten your physical copy yet. We're trying to get you a physical copy with good old Canadian Post. It's kind of hard, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
that'll be
don't I
slow.
don't like looking at a lot. Some people prefer ebooks. It's cool because it's a little cheaper for the ebook too. And you know what's cool too? We get more profit on the ebook, but I like people to have it in their hand. Here's a
It's nice.
yeah. I got somebody criticized. They made like a 7 post Instagram thread, no Twitter thread on what the hell's with those steaks, man. The fat's all trimmed off of them. It's like, we, it's the prettiest picture. Look, we paid for a professional photo, and it is what it is. I would have left that fat on, but it does look pretty, all the red and stuff. So yeah, that's,
It looks good.
no, thanks.
Looks very good.
Yeah, we're trying to get you and your dad a copy, so hopefully soon. I think our shipping department, which is Jessica's father, he's gonna send it out today. So maybe in the next couple of weeks you can get your hands on it. But yeah, we talk about some of those things in here. But you know, to be honest, like my diet is so streamlined. Our kids love all these funky little things, and so they'll like roasts, and they really like roasts. But I just like steaks.
Yeah. Scarlett likes roasts too. Although now that we've been air frying, because it's like roasts, the middle's really soft, so she's like that.
Hmm.
But because we've been air frying steaks, they're kind of more roast like ish. So
Yeah.
she's into the steaks more now.
So you buy single
But yeah,
steaks, or do you ever buy like a ribeye roast and cut it up?
um, it's harder to find like if I go to Costco, which I don't generally go to because it's kind of far.
Hmm.
Then yeah, I'll get the roast and cut it. Yesterday I went to Metro and they had, and it was cheap. I haven't seen it like that. It was $12 a kilogram ribeye roast bone
Nice.
in,
Yeah.
which is really, really cheap for here.
Yeah.
And so I got a whole bunch of those that, yeah, I'll cut myself.
That's cool. Actually, I can't find. There's certain here the meat's weird, right? So in the valley we live in, it's pretty lean, because nobody finishes them on grain or anything, and we have seasonal grass. So the local stuff, sometimes you'll get one with a lot of suet, and I'll buy suet. But usually the steaks are lean, and they don't really know how to cut a ribeye roast here for some reason. They pull out the what's it called, the sirloin. So they want the top sirloin, they want the lean stuff, and then they cut up all the fat and give it to people for like $1 a pound to give it to dogs, 50 cents
Yeah.
a pound and stuff. So it's kind of a weird thing. But there's somebody up north who gets these really big fatty steaks because it's constantly raining. So I've been trying for like 6 months to figure out how to contact this farm and tell them to sell me ribeye roasts and with all the fat because they still trim so much off. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of difficult sometimes to find a good consistent source. Everything changes all the time.
Yeah. I figured out how to travel a little bit.
How,
Like I went to Europe a couple of times and I'm getting less paranoid about eating at restaurants because you can be pretty clear about, like steak, nothing on it, scrub the grill. But I'm so sensitive that I was paranoid for like a year, more like 3 years,
wow.
even on my like low carb diet, paranoid about eating out. But I'm getting over that now. But that being said, I generally stay in Airbnbs anyway when I
Hmm.
travel. And I was going to these places and asking Instagram, like, someone please send me to a butcher that has good steak.
There you
But
go.
some places in Europe, yeah, and people were really helpful. Like in Hungary, they were really helpful. But in Germany, in Munich, it was really, really hard to find any meat with any fat. Uh,
Hmm.
and so what I did when I was there is I traveled with a jar of tallow, um, and ate ground beef. And
Yeah.
I would just like make meatballs and then just add tallow to the meatballs. And that was way better than eating their extremely lean steaks, which were making me like aggravated.
Yeah, well, I mean, in Stephenson's book, he actually talked about this too. I remember we talked a little bit about fat of the land last night, or not by bread alone
Yeah.
is another word, another name for it. He talks about if you do too much lean and not enough fat, you just feel like crap. Your digestion gets bad. So it's something that I think a lot of us notice.
Yeah. And I get like hangry.
Hmm.
Like I'll have a steak and I'm not, it's not like a depressed angry.
You're
It's
just like
just like,
hungry, like aggressive
yeah,
because you're hungry.
it's
Yeah.
aggressive because I'm hungry. Yeah. And then if I'll have enough fat, I'll be like, yeah, calm and like happy.
There you go. That's
Pretty
cool.
funny.
Yeah, it's interesting when you start to get dialed in like that, and food becomes so much less of. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm entertained by a good steak, but it's not like it's like a hedonistic thing with sugar or like cupcakes and
Yeah.
weird stuff like that, where it's almost like
Yeah.
the food's not like pornographic or anything. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
there you go, good food, like nice meal, wholesome, and I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. And then done. I know it's nice. And I've really enjoyed cutting down a little bit because my brain doesn't turn off.
Yeah.
Like if I don't eat until 4, I can just not eat until 4. It's very odd. Yeah, it's very odd. And I think that took a while to adapt to because for the first, I would say maybe a year of doing it, if I didn't eat at least twice a day or every certain amount of time, I would start to slow down
Yeah.
and kind of get mentally slow. And that seems to have changed in the last couple of months. So it's fun. It's
Nice. A
interesting.
little deeper adaptation. I wonder how much of that has to do with the weaning, right? Like weaning your kid, and you're not creating so much nutrition for someone else. Because that's, I don't know. I think people underestimate just how intense that is
Oh
to
my,
be breastfeeding all the time.
yeah,
It's
they
kind of
definitely,
amazing. Like how the hell does your body do that? It's just incredible.
it is incredible. Yeah, it is incredible. And I was eating twice as much as I am now
Hmm.
breastfeeding. And yeah, and it's funny because so I was eating about an extra pound and a half of meat, and then I weaned Scarlett, and we transitioned her onto meat, although she's not just eating meat now,
Hmm.
just in case anyone's wondering. But we transitioned her onto meat for the first maybe like 4 months of when she stopped drinking milk, and she basically started eating the same amount I had been eating when she was only drinking milk.
Hmm.
It was like just basically a switch from, so that was interesting.
That's pretty cool. That's it's so good to see like a healthy kid eating so much. You know, when our kids have a huge appetite, it makes me so happy.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but just I guess it just feels good to know that they're healthy and they're growing, and
yeah,
that's
happy.
yeah, it's nice to see. I love my kids love steaks. They eat fruit and stuff too. But what else does your daughter eat? You guys in the chat, I see there's a few super chats. We'll hit the super chats at the end. Don't worry, we'll read all the super chats and yeah. So I'll hit those at the very end. I'm not going to interrupt and do those.
She's eating, so she eats meat every meal. That's the main food. Uh, but she'll also eat apples as snacks. She really likes apples. Pears sometimes. And then she's had sweet potatoes, carrots, parsnips, and then that'll be cooked in like coconut oil. So it's pretty like compared to a normal baby diet, it's really limited, but she does like she didn't digest vegetables well at the beginning,
Mm.
and I didn't really want to do that. So we just did meat at the beginning, and then once she got a little bit older and more developed, we started incorporating little bits of other things just because I'm pretty sold on this meat diet, and I know that I'll be doing it because I really like
Yeah,
it, but because there's so much we don't know, I don't want to accidentally make her sensitive unnecessarily. So I think, and I have no idea. So I think incorporating some of these like easier to digest vegetables occasionally might not be a bad thing.
for
I don't
sure.
really know what to
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about
You
it.
know what's weird? My kids really they like broccoli. They really like vegetables, so they'll ask for broccoli, which I always thought was so funny. So we'll give them. But I
Yeah,
have a totally different view on a lot of these vegetables now. I kind of look at it as like, yeah, wouldn't really want to eat that. I guess I used to like the taste of broccoli with butter and salt and stuff, but
yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't tempt me anymore. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but we'll make them the broccoli. We'll give them the sweet potatoes.
yeah,
They like starches. I feel like starches and fruits are, I have no problem giving those, right? Like they can eat as much fruit as they want. There's seasonal fruit available here. They love bananas. They love maracuyas and like some of these weird little Ecuadorian fruits we get. But the vegetable stuff, we don't push that. We don't really care. They like carrots. Carrots are pretty easily
yeah. She
digested.
likes carrots. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So she doesn't. Does she ask for those other foods, or does she prefer steak?
No, she, like for a meal, she prefers steak, but she will ask for apples.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
But
likes
bananas
apples.
yet?
No, I'm scared of bananas. I had
Mm.
a really like that was bananas and citrus fruit were probably as bad as grains or worse for my arthritis.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm just so
Do you think it was fiber, or do you think like what do you have a theory on what it was that you were so sensitive to in those?
um not really. No. I did some food sensitivity testing a number of years ago, and a whole bunch of the foods that gave me really bad flare-ups showed up there, but bananas didn't.
Hmm.
And sugar, and the thing is I used to eat like when I was doing low carb, or when I was transitioning into low carb, I ate a lot of honey,
Yeah.
and that didn't bother me at all. So it wasn't the sugar. It was
Yeah.
some
Yeah. Honey's an easy one for a lot of people. Honey is just really easily
yeah,
digested by so many people. That's what I'll use if I want to gain weight. I'll add honey or raw milk.
uh-huh.
What about like raw milk? Have you tried or has she tried
I
any of
haven't
that?
tried it. I haven't tried it. Dairy, I had such a huge problem with dairy that I'm scared of
I
it.
remember
I mean,
that.
I've
Yeah.
heard good things, but
What about
I'm not,
butter? Like would that be something you might try? No, it's just like not even desired.
not yet, not yet.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out if I want to try and introduce something to desensitize myself, if that's even possible.
Mm.
Because, like, the weird thing is, before I was pregnant, I actually was doing really, really well on a low carb, like an extremely, extremely limited low carb diet. I was
Yeah.
doing really well. And then something definitely changed after like during and after the pregnancy.
Hmm.
So I've been curious to see if I can get back to that prior state I was in and if that had something to do with microbiome.
Hmm.
But I'm not really looking forward, and I'm not really that interested in. I'm curious, but I don't have bad
Yeah,
reactions
yeah.
to
You're
foods.
curious to try, but I hear a lot of people talking about stuff like this, and a lot of clients and stuff. They get in a similar situation. I usually encourage them to try things, but super small amounts, and then like wait a couple days,
Yeah.
because I think it can be psychologically really, really hard. Now, what do you think about the critique of these people that get on such restrictive diets, it just becomes an eating disorder. They're just using this. They're projecting all their fears on a diet. They think we're just hyping ourselves up when we think we're sensitive to these foods. What do you think about that critique? Because you've seen, I mean, the media, they had a field day for like a couple months. There was like an article every week about Mikhaila Peterson's insane meat diet. I think it was after he went
Yeah.
on Joe Rogan.
Orthorexia.
Yeah, there you go. The orthorexic claim. What do you think?
God. Well, I think you should just look and see what people on this diet look like. If they look like they're, starving, or
Yeah.
I think it's fair to judge people's diet based on what they look like.
So judge the
If you
book
look,
by the cover.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's what I say to that. Like, who's the person who's writing like, what does the person who's writing the article look like?
Yeah. Right. No, I mean, when you look at it, they're usually kind of just normies, right? I mean, it's kind of nothing wrong with being a normie, but I mean, they're probably on a few antidepressants, maybe take some Xanax a few times a day, like trying to pay off some college debt. I think the people writing these articles, they're hitting the trends, right? Like they see what's being pumped out, they follow the trends, and it's just
Yeah,
okay. Mikhaila Peterson's Jordan Peterson's daughter. Let's make a hit piece about her diet,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, I think it's rude. I think it's really rude for people who are trying to get over really severe health problems, considering they already have to deal with everybody around them
Mm.
probably complaining about how sick they were. Because if you're a sick person, you get blamed for that a lot, like, oh, work out more or sleep less or whatever.
Yeah.
So they have to deal with that, and then they start looking into their diet and actually taking control of their lives, and it's like, oh, well, maybe you're not depressed anymore, but now you have an eating disorder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, leave everybody alone.
Right. Everyone's like the pocket diagnosis manual in their phone or something. Everybody's just constantly diagnosing everyone. We see it a lot. I mean, you see it when people leave like a vegan diet where it's not working for them. They get flogged. Like they get literally.
Oh God,
It's like
I
you didn't
know.
do it right. You did it wrong. You did this. You did that. It's like they bash these people for doing these so-called extreme practices, but they fail to realize that look, these people are doing and they're doing colonics, they're doing juice
Yeah.
fasting, they're doing this stuff because the gerbil food didn't work. Like they didn't feel good on beans, legumes, lentils, and Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen. So they try these extreme things. They're not just nutcases who are trying.
No, they're like desperate.
Yeah, yeah,
God, and and also dropping a vegan diet and having to switch over, even having to switch over from my like standard American diet, it's psychologically really difficult
hmm,
because you have to drop everything you believed in, right?
yeah,
You're like, oh, all these things that I grew up believing are wrong. And so you already have to deal with that. And then you have to be attacked by your community
yeah.
as well.
Right, right. It's crazy. No, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
you have the trauma of like, okay, what I believed was wrong. I have to reformat my entire relationship with food now, and train myself not to fear fat, train myself not to fear
Yeah.
meat, and then these people that I thought were cool and my friends, and we were all in it together. Now they
Are all
hate
like,
me.
yeah, you're the devil now.
Yeah, I'm a heretic now. Burn the
Right.
heretic. It's really
Yeah.
crazy. So yeah, I
Yeah, it
think
is.
yeah, the carnivore thing. It's been interesting in the last couple of years. It's become kind of a lightning rod for some of those issues. You see a lot of people pushing for like, it's so sustainable for us to make Beyond Burgers and have a $500 million fake meat company, but it's just
God.
unsustainable because your cows in your backyard and you've got goats in your backyard and those are farting. So it's like this weird frame game, and it all ends up coming down to profit, money, power over resources and stuff. And yeah, to me, it gets so ridiculous seeing people tell me that Bill Gates wants to save the world with a Beyond Burger. It's like, dude, this guy's got this is $500 million getting pumped into making it taste like meat, and you're trying to tell me we don't need meat? Like it's just the whole thing gets ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I passed A&W the other day, and the sign on the outside was, I think it was the Beyond Meat burger at A&W. I was like, that is so bad. Like it used to be a burger, which was already bad enough because it was like the bread and a
Yep.
whole bunch of things in it that wasn't good, but at least it had the burger. And now you just remove the burger.
Right, the
Now
only good thing, the only good thing in
people,
there.
yeah, no, it makes me angry because people don't know. Like a lot of people don't know, and then
Yeah.
they're just gonna feel crappy and they won't know why. It's so
Right. And
sad.
they think they're doing what's right for them, right? They think this
Yeah.
this is good for my body, this is good for the environment. But I mean, it's the complete opposite. I mean, it's so inverted. And that's why I really love how your dad, you appreciate Joe Rogan bringing attention to this too by having you guys on. It's like there's been a big upswell of really actually grassroots people who aren't, it's like we're not getting paid by the meat industry. In fact, it's like if I were to just promote keto junk food and do Quest bar reviews, I would have way more viewers. I would have way like if I did a complete opposite strategy and did kind of more of a safe route, I'd be getting more money. But I get accused of, oh, you're shilling, you're just doing carnivore for the money. Look, there's no supplements to sell. It's like we can have a book maybe, right? You can have a book, you can do some coaching and help people out, but it's like this is not for the money. This is for me at least. It's about the truth. It's about really helping people. It's like, well, how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
Now, how's this been? I mean, you've been helping a lot of people. You've been working with clients as well, and have you seen some crazy stuff out there? People really getting their health back lately?
Yeah, I actually stopped doing the consultations in January, and I was really enjoying doing them. I'm really enjoying talking to people, but I got way too busy and I had the surgery that I had to recover from, so
Okay.
I just never started back up. So I'm not doing that anymore. But before that, yeah, I saw a number of people manage to. I was talking to pretty sick people.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I'd get some like engineer in Silicon Valley who just wanted to optimize himself, and that was fun. But
How
there were
many
a lot of
supplements are those guys taking when they come to you? They're
they,
like, I've got the whole On It line. I've got every one of these
yeah,
supplements. It's like,
yeah.
dude.
They've tried everything to become like as useful and productive as they can do,
Hmm.
and then it's like, oh, all I have to do is eat meat. That's easy.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't take me any time. All I want to do is work anyway. Um, so that's fun. But I talked to a lot of really sick people and a lot of them got a lot better. A lot of them were really, really ridiculously sensitive, like
Yeah.
me, which it's hard to teach people like how sensitive you can be. And then some people, I would say a good probably maybe 40% couldn't do it. Like
Mm.
the getting off of the carbs was too hard.
Yeah.
Um,
Like they were coming from more of a standard American diet. That's the hardest one, right? Usually the people that come to me, they've been doing keto for a little bit, and they're like,
that's
I've
easier.
learned about carnivore. I don't know if I can do it. I'm doing keto. I have Quest birthday cake ice cream flavor, protein powder in the morning, microwaved with some eggs. It's like, you simplify the diet, and you're like, look, eat meat and fat. Those are a little easier cases. Standard American diet's hard to transition from.
It's hard, yeah. I'm wondering if what I should have been like what I was telling people to do was, okay, so you can suffer it out for like 6 weeks, maybe not 6 weeks. Some people it's easier,
Hmm.
like some people it's 2 weeks, but you can suffer it out and then you'll feel better. Um, but it's gonna suck because you're going to seriously and people underestimate when I say like seriously withdraw off of carbs, I don't mean like morphine, OxyContin, that was easier. Like I really mean you're gonna suffer to get off of those carbs. Or maybe and then I say if you want to do it easier, like get rid of the grains, get rid of
Hmm.
the really high carb things, do that for a while, and then slowly taper yourself into it. But it might take longer to feel as good as you could feel
Yeah.
if you just do everything now. But some people have really awful responses to dropping carbs really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real. The withdrawals are definitely real. I mean, someone in the chat
Yeah,
earlier said Michaela and her father saved my life by sharing their diet with me. I mean, so a lot of people have really, gotten a lot out of it. So I think, yeah, I think it's a
yeah,
really cool thing that you guys have been sharing this. So yeah, so speaking of transition, speaking of like turning a new page and changing things up, you realized that you were probably dealing with a C. diff infection, right? How'd you come to
yeah.
learn about that?
That took like a long time to figure out, like because I didn't. So I was formally like diagnosed with C. diff in probably not until
Mhm.
December. So just recently. So that was after a year of the carnivore diet, and I don't know when I got it. I wasn't on antibiotics. I wasn't hospitalized. So that was weird. Like I'm not sure what happened, but my digestion was just not good, obviously, like diet not good,
Yeah.
which I mentioned like 400 times on Joe Rogan. But anyway, it
How
wasn't
fun is
good.
that sharing your digest, especially as a woman? Like women don't ever talk about these things. Dudes are
I
just
know.
like, yeah, my poops are disgusting, but women are like they don't even want anyone to know they poop. So sharing that on Joe Rogan must have been fun.
Yeah, well, people need to like people need to know, unfortunately. But yeah, so I went to the doctor and was like, "Can I take the test because something's up here." Like, it's not the diet because I've talked to other people and their digestion's improved. So why is mine so screwed up? And so I was diagnosed with a pretty bad C. diff infection. I was like, oh, I've been dealing with this for months and I still feel really good. But um, I did, I didn't want to go the antibiotic route because I didn't know how I would react to antibiotics. Um, so I did a microbiome transplant,
Hmm.
which is, well, most people know, I suppose, what that is. They basically, the place I went basically takes healthy people's poop and then isolates the bacteria. And then I have a YouTube video about it. And then they like put it up your bum.
Hmm.
So I did a whole bunch of those treatments. I did 10 days worth at the Taymount Clinic after my ankle surgery because I needed to be on antibiotics for that. And it turns out I actually didn't have a reaction to antibiotics. I thought I would. So I needed to take them anyway.
Oh
So I
yeah, that
did
must have been a
this.
little bit frightening, right? I mean, anytime you got to
It
take
was very,
antibiotics and you know what happens when you take them, it can be a little scary.
it was really scary, yeah. But it didn't seem to matter, luckily. I mean, I'm sure it mattered at some level, but I couldn't
So
tell,
they
which was
clear out your old gut microbiome. They kind of clear it out with antibiotics prior.
no, I had to take them for the surgery.
Okay, so but for the FMT, I heard that they sometimes you take antibiotics first and then do the FMT.
The Taymount Clinic doesn't.
Cool.
They recommend a colonic or something
Hmm.
at the like
So
prior.
they try to wash out the bum, they wash out the colon, and then they do the transplant. You
Yeah.
know what's crazy? When you look at C. diff treatment without fecal micro outside of FMT, it's such low cure rate, right? It's like the
Yeah.
the return rate is ridiculous. But I mean, even with a single treatment, they're seeing huge like improvement. They're seeing like complete remission with one treatment.
Yeah, yeah. One treatment. So one treatment apparently has 80% success rate, which is higher than antibiotics. And then I did 10. And the reason I did 10 was because the Taymount Clinic recommends 5 for C. diff and 10 for autoimmune disorders, etc.
Hmm.
So I was like, I'll just do 10. And I didn't really notice a difference for about 3 weeks, like no changes in digestion or anything. And I was like, great. If it's not going to work, I'm going to be the one it doesn't work on. And then around like a 3 or 4 weeks after, yeah, everything normalized. I did a couple when I got home too.
Hmm.
And I had some weird like days where I had way more energy than usual,
Hmm.
which I'm sure was probably contributing, well, was probably partly the fact that maybe I didn't have a bacterial infection anymore, which I'm sure is exhausting.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say it was worth doing. I didn't notice, I haven't tried to reintroduce anything yet. I still have more samples in my freezer.
Hmm.
I have the strangest looking freezer. Um, I still have more samples. And so if I do, I don't know exactly what my plan is with
Yeah.
that. If I do try and reintroduce anything, I'm definitely going to be using those and then reintroducing and seeing how that works. But I'm not, that's for like future me
Yeah.
to worry about.
So
Yeah.
you do think about reintroducing some foods, but you haven't really decided which foods you think you would.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of torn, right? Because if I don't know, I keep switching back between like one, I don't, if I do go out to a restaurant and I'm really careful about ordering and everything, and something like touches the grill and then I eat it, I really don't feel very good for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
So it's like stupidly sensitive.
Yeah.
So I like the diet, but socially it's hard because even if I go to a, like usually if I go to a steakhouse it's good, but sometimes it's not, and then I feel crappy. So I'm wondering if like if I had even like a teaspoon of sweet potato or something every day, if that would give me some sort of buffer so that if I got hit, maybe my body would be more used to
Yeah.
things. That's just a theory though, and I don't know if it's true. And then the other thing I was thinking is I was doing really well prior to the pregnancy. I was still eating, mostly meat. It was a ketogenic diet,
Hmm.
but I was still eating some vegetables, and I seemed to tolerate that fine. I do think that the meat diet is probably the optimal diet, but I'm not. But I shouldn't be as sensitive as I am, so I'm trying to figure out that problem. Like you should be able to have some tolerance.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to, you know, get flattened for 3 weeks because like I don't even respond well to chicken.
Yeah.
So like something else is going on that I'm still trying to figure out. But if all I do is eat beef, I don't have any problems.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to stray from that. It's like this works. Everything else I've tried has given me feedback that told me stay away. I could see how you might. Do you feel trapped at all in it? Do you feel like you're like, ah, damn it, I just got to eat meat? Do you feel stuck?
No, no. I'm just happy this works.
Yeah.
I don't really feel stuck. Do I ever feel stuck really?
I guess we could hype ourselves into feeling a lot of things, you know? We could hype ourselves into that if we kind of
Yeah,
focus on it.
I don't think so. I'm so thankful that this worked that most of the time I wake up and I think, man, like thank God, like even and it's normally when I have a particularly stressful day
Yeah.
where I have a stressful day and I'll be kind of stressed out and I'll be like, thank God I'm not depressed anymore, or thank God I'm not itchy everywhere anymore, or chronically fatigued.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I'll get all stressed out and be like, I'm not really that stressed out. This is like normal stress and it's easy. So no, most of the time I'm just really thankful that this works.
Yeah.
Plus, I like meat.
Who doesn't? That's the funny thing. It's like the best foods that, the meat of the plate, the pun intended, like it's the meat. Like that's what people want. That's the food that, affluent people eat almost exclusively at their banquets, right? It's like this is
Yeah,
not it's not like this is some, peasant diet. Oh, I'm stuck. I can
yeah,
only eat meat. And it's, I mean, as to me it just it never gets old. And it's really hard to look at, I'll see some colorful, cute dishes and stuff, and it's like, all right, well, that looks really pretty, but I just, I don't care. Like I'll take some liver
Yeah.
and some, I mean, I eat weird things too. I mean, I really like high meat. Sorry, my dog's going. Hey, ribeye. Hey, come here.
Ribeye?
Yeah, come here. Hey, come. Sorry. He listens so well. He's like less than a year old. I think a car. Okay, yeah. There's a car coming up. Sorry. But yeah, I'll eat weird things like high liver, high meat. So I know that was in the Stephenson book too. He talks about the high meat in there. Um,
Yeah.
that's a weird one. I don't know if you've ever had. It's really hard to hype oneself up to trying it, but
Like, I think I'm gonna have to be doing this for longer. I'm terrified of that.
it's so weird. Yeah,
I
the high
also
liver
just
is crazy good. It's
eating
it's like addictive. It's so weird.
weird. Okay, well, it's probably gonna happen eventually. There's nothing I can do
So
about
check
it,
it
but
when you get your physical copy of the book. You can look. So we should kind of show you how to do it. It's so easy, right? So you take some liver. Hold on, naughty. Just sit right there. Stop, stop it. It's okay. So you take liver, you cut it up, you fill a jar like halfway or a little bit lower than halfway, and you leave it in the fridge for a few months. Open it up every once in a while. Eventually, it starts to smell like you want to eat it, like a funky cheese. You know, like a brie or a gorgonzola. It has that really interesting kind of deep. I don't. It smells good eventually, but like a funky cheese good. You know, like funky
does it
good.
smell bad first?
You know, like for a few days it might almost, but to me it doesn't smell bad at any point of the like fermentation process. There's some juices that'll separate. You can drain the juices. That'll make it ferment faster. And I don't know what it is, but it gives you so much energy. And the first time I tried it, I like laughed out loud.
Oh,
Be,
I guess it's kind of probiotic-y, huh?
exactly, it is. It's full probiotic.
Oh, okay, I'll try it. I'll try
Yes.
it then.
Okay.
Oh no, I am trying like I
Tag
don't
me when you try it. I gotta see it. I gotta see.
okay, no, no, I'll try it then. Yeah, because I am trying like I do think that a lot of this is microbiome related because I did I did seem to get some mood boosts, energy boosts after this FMT. So I think there's something to that. And I couldn't figure out how to incorporate probiotics because I respond so badly to
Yeah.
I can't do anything fermented, but I haven't
Right.
tried fermented
That's
liver.
why I kind of asked about raw milk too. I know, dairy. I mean, I know it's hard to get in Canada too. Raw milk is not really easy to get there, but I'm a big fan of raw milk for that reason. But sometimes reintroducing it, it can be a little bit like you get a little gassy and bloaty sometimes. But then you people tend to feel better after a while. But yeah, the high meat. When you think about your gut making neurotransmitters and stuff, like you could be
Yeah.
getting just like super doses of these bacteria that are meant to break down meat too. So it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Okay. I'm sold. I'm
There
sold.
we go. Awesome. So Mikhaila Peterson's gonna try some high meat. Do liver first and drain out the
Okay.
juices. Let it go for at least 2 months. Stir it up a little bit. Eventually, it's gonna turn green and like it's gonna turn green or blue, and it's gonna smell like a funky cheese. And the first time I took a bite, I laughed. I've never taken a bite of food and it made me laugh, but that's what it is. Like this is the weirdest thing. It was like spritzy, almost like kefir has that weird spritziness. It was kind of like that, combined with this deep bitterness that was like chocolatey in the back of the mouth, and it was so weird. Yeah, so one or two bites at first. Start slow. It's really cool. Um,
Wow. Okay. How do you know, like, what if it goes, doesn't it go, I mean, I know it's
Yeah, I know what you're
gone
saying. Yeah, how do you know if it's not
bad.
wrong? How do you know if it's not bad, right? I
Yeah.
haven't had a single one that I felt was bad. So
Okay.
it'll get like a film on it, and sometimes if you shake it up every once in a while, there'll be some like I don't know, like a film on the top. If it's like a white film, it's not mold, but if you see like spots of like fuzzy, puffy
Yeah. Yeah.
looking, it's like with sauerkraut, right? Sauerkraut, you could
Yeah.
tell when it's mold, and then you could tell when it's
Yeah.
just like weird,
Yeah. I've made it. I've made sauerkraut.
yeah, similar.
Okay.
100 times better
Okay.
than sauerkraut. I used to love sauerkraut. I don't even care
I
about
love
sauerkraut
sauerkraut.
now. Now I'll do the high liver. But it's one of the weirdest foods that you've ever experienced, and you'll kind of know like you'll know your jar after a couple months, right? Like every week or so, open it up, let some air out because it needs the oxygen.
Yeah.
After a couple months, you'll open it, you'll be like, okay, this might be ready, and then your little adrenaline rush, you take a bite. It's so weird.
Okay.
Yeah, you could have your mom on standby on the phone in case she needs to an ambulance. Don't try this at home, folks. But it's interesting. People have been doing this for a long time, right? Like Stephenson wrote
Yeah.
about it. He wrote how like these rich people in Europe used to love high meat, and they'd sit around their high meat and they'd talk about it like it was cheese. Um,
No, I used to like, I loved cheese. Like any old horrible cheese.
yeah,
I loved it.
me too.
So I'm into it if it tastes like cheese. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
awesome. So I
All
can't
right.
wait. So in a couple months, I'll be looking forward to seeing I tried high
Yeah.
meat and I didn't die. Hopefully,
Yeah.
video.
Okay.
Um,
Hopefully.
awesome, awesome. So, yeah. Well, Michaela, we've been talking for a little while now. I know you're a busy woman. You got a life to live. You got a lot of work. You've been helping your dad out. I wanted to ask you if your dad's still doing a meat diet, if it's still helping him.
Yeah. I mean, if the problem is he has to be, extremely strict. He's the same as me, mood wise.
Mm.
Yeah, he's still on it. He eats a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
But he's also, constantly on the go. Yeah, we're definitely stuck like this for the time being, probably for a very long time. My mom's on it too.
Nice. And mom's doing well.
Hmm.
Cool. So, in your dad, when he travels, I saw you guys were getting the carnivore bar. Someone made you guys a pemmican bar.
Oh my God, yeah, the carnivore bar. I'm so happy about that. I sent a tweet out last year and was like, can someone just make this so that just I just want this product to exist. And then they started it and it tastes really good for someone who's used to eating meat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they sent a couple. I made my own pemmican too, which is I have so much of it right now. But as soon as I can order that, I'll just use them because theirs was good. But
Better than the one
mostly
you make at home?
honestly, it tasted almost exactly the same, possibly slightly better, but it
Nice.
was almost exactly the same.
That's pretty cool. Don't have to make
Yeah,
it.
yeah, very high fat, like good. It was really good.
Nice. You know what? You know what I like? I think I talked about this with you before, and maybe you could tell the carnivore bar people to do it. Like 20% liver in there, or like
Oh,
10% even. It gives it amazing flavor. The dried liver, it's probably not as good as fresh liver as far as like nutrients go, but maybe it's just as good. And I don't even think it's necessary for people to eat liver out there too. You said the same, but do you feel like it's necessary to eat nose to tail or to have liver and stuff?
no,
Okay.
I don't.
I think
I
Stephenson
don't
said that
think so.
too. Stephenson in his book said like, yeah, we did liver, we did all these other meats, but you don't really need anything but muscle meat.
Fat. I
Hmm.
think the fat is like, I think the fat makes me feel better. The liver, I like the taste of now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm eating it. I haven't really noticed anything other than that. I think health wise, as long as you eat enough fat, then you eat whatever else part of the animal you want to eat. But I don't think you have to eat all of it. And
Hmm.
yeah,
What about like collagen? Some people say that the methionine to glycine ratio is kind of some theories that I don't really think it's too much of a deal either.
I don't I don't think it's too much of a deal. And how would like I don't know. You can read a lot into blood tests
Hmm.
without. I think you should just go with how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Right on. So, um, all right. Well, any last thoughts? Where can people find your work? Where can they find Mikhaila Peterson online?
I have Instagram. That's Mikhaila Peterson. Um, Facebook. Facebook's Mikhaila Peterson or the Carnivore Diet. I have a blog, which is mikhailapeterson.com. And I started a YouTube channel in the fall, and I don't have very many videos up because I'm really busy. I'd like to do more. I like the YouTube videos, but that's Mikhaila Peterson on YouTube too. Mikhaila Peterson 1, I think.
There you go.
Uh,
Wait, there was a
yeah.
Mikhaila Peterson already?
Yeah, right?
Someone probably preemptively grabbed that, and they're hoping you'd offer them money for it.
I think I've had it for a while.
That's funny.
So yeah, that was unexpected. So yeah, Mikhaila Peterson 1 on YouTube.
Right on. Well, yeah, I do enjoy the YouTube videos. I think you do a good job with those, and it seems like they get a really really good response anytime you post one. So
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
encourage that. All right, Michaela. Well, thanks for coming on. Glad you're doing well. It's amazing that the C diff is gone away and that you're feeling so much
Thank
better.
God. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
that was
So
unnecessary.
cheers to
Really?
that. Yeah, cheers to that. And let
Cheers to that.
let me know how it goes with the high liver. I'm really, really excited to hear about that. I think if anyone out there is like interested in that, read Stephenson's book. Read Fat of the Land, or also it's called Not by Bread Alone is the other one. He talks about it in there, and it's pretty cool. So um, thank you so much for coming on. I think the audience really got a lot out of it. Let me just actually forgot to read. There's a couple super chats. There's at least one. Let me read the super chat. Um, Super chat, super chat.
What's a super chat?
Oh, it sounds cool, right? It's,
Yeah.
so people like during lives they can send money so that you read their chat. They're basically like it gives a little, it
Oh,
highlights it and it tells you how much they sent. So Dennison sent $1. He sent 99 cents, and he didn't even want anything read. He's just throwing out for the cause. Thanks, John.
aw.
And then NC Rid says, "Sup Tristan, sup Michaela. I'm at work confiscating shopping carts from the homeless for the government while listening." Well, that does not sound like a fun job, man. Those guys, they get pissed. If you're in
Really?
California, you might get shanked.
It really doesn't sound fun.
That sounds like a terrible job, but I'm glad you're tuning in. I hope you're having a good day. NC Rids, he's in the chat every once in a while. So, yeah, be safe out there with those homeless because they like those shopping carts. And that's it, guys. That's all. You guys can find. We talked about the book. If you want to support the work here, check out the Carnivore Cookbook, zero carb recipes for people who really love animals. It's all animal foods. There's no plant foods in there. No plants were harmed in the making of the book, except people called me a hypocrite because it's printed on paper. So whatever, it is what it is.
Yes, yeah.
You can't avoid harming a few plants if you're going to print a dang book. But if you get the ebook, no animals were harmed in the making of that. Or I'm sorry, no plants were harmed in the making of that. So it's an ethical carnivore book. But yeah, guys, we'll see you next time.